Hello everyone, I'm Meghan Sullivan and welcome to my review of Trek to Yomi, developed by Flying Wild Hog, published by Devolver Digital, and available on Steam, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series 1, and Xbox Series X. I've been looking forward to playing this game ever since it was announced, and now I finally got to play it. How is it? Well, I definitely enjoyed it. I admit it's not quite flawless, but it's such a visual delight and tries so hard to honor the history of Japan's Edo period that it's worth the price of admission. And I use that terminology very deliberately because Trek to Yomi feels like an interactive piece of art. This stunningly gorgeous side-scrolling action game about an orphaned samurai seeking vengeance while trying to save the woman he loves is only about 5 hours long, at least for the first playthrough, but every moment is a visual delight. And that's because Trek to Yomi is a love letter to classic samurai cinema and pays particular homage to legendary filmmaker Akira Kurosawa of Seven Samurai and Rashomon fame. And I love how this is accomplished. Right from the beginning, you feel as if you're part of some epic sword and sandals movie with a black and white aesthetic that recalls the silver screen of old. This feeling is heightened by other wonderful flourishes, including credits done in classical Japanese script, characters who speak in classical Japanese, and even a screen that resembles the worn look of old film print whenever you transition from a cutscene to combat mode. Flying Wild Hog also toys with film aesthetics by having the protagonist traverse 3D landscapes when exploring his surroundings, but then switching to a 2D plane when the action starts. This makes it look like a film director is deliberately using different camera angles and a brilliant blending of foreground and background shots in order to create suspense, and I love it. It's so atmospheric. The environment is equally dynamic. Howling storms, roaring rivers, and crashing fiery debris heighten the sense of drama playing out as the protagonist Hiroki first navigates a cruel reality full of heartless bandits, and then a misty, shadowy realm where his inner demons come to life. I feel like there's a lot of symbolism to unpack here, and I love how Japanese Shinto beliefs are woven into the story via otherworldly boss fights and collectibles found in hidden corners of the world, along with health and stamina upgrades, which partially serve to educate the player about Japanese culture and partially serve to unravel Hiroki's mysterious backstory. Clearly, a lot of research went into this game. In fact, all of the environments, clothing, language, objects, even the hauntingly beautiful music are authentic to the Edo period, and as someone who loves history, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. By the way, this authenticity even seems to extend to the fun and snappy combat. Trek to Yomi's side-scrolling action is comfortably familiar. Hiroki can use his sword, a variety of ranged weapons, and even objects found in the environment around him to take down any bad guys who stand in his way. His opponents, bandits or angry spirits, or sometimes both, are diverse enough that each type requires a different tactic to overcome. Some enemies wield swords, others use spears, some even come after Hiroki with bows or guns. Luckily, these weapons would be familiar to a real-life samurai, which is why Hiroki can also wield a sword, a gun, a bow, and oddly enough, shuriken, normally the prerogative of ninjas, but whatever, they're super fun to use. Now, although the core gameplay revolves around swinging a sword, I for one really liked the ranged weapons, which can easily be toggled between using the D-pad. I love how a bow shot kills enemies instantly, shuriken briefly stun your opponent and chips off some of their health, and a gun delivers a powerful blow. By the way, one of my favorite little details about this game is how Hiroki has to kneel down to load the gun, then wait a moment before it discharges. This is a fairly accurate portrayal of how a real samurai would have had to lock and load his weapon in the late 16th and early 17th centuries. And since ammo for these weapons is limited, I also liked how I had to carefully consider when and where I discharged my ranged weapons. It's a nice touch. But this is a samurai from the Edo period, so Hiroki mostly relies on his sword to get the job done. And when it works, using a sword can feel incredibly rewarding, particularly in one-hit mode, an unlockable difficulty level where you kill or be killed in a single strike. It's this mode that really made me appreciate the combat mechanics, although it's also this mode that exposed some of the flaws in said mechanics. When using a sword, players can combine a variety of light and heavy attacks, i.e. button combos, to take down opponents. As you progress, you'll unlock more complex attacks that allow Hiroki to slash his sword upward, downward, backwards, or even quickly follow up a dodge or parry with another swing. Hiroki can also go on the defensive by parrying attacks, dodging and rolling away from them, or charging an enemy before they can fire a ranged weapon. All of these moves are tethered to a replenishable and happily upgradeable stamina meter, which adds a nice tactical element to combat. It felt rewarding whenever I combined offensive and defensive maneuvers to take down tough enemies, especially in one-hit mode, where careless actions are punished with insta-death. But I mentioned earlier that swordplay is rewarding when it works, and unfortunately, there seems to be some sort of input lag or input issue going on in this game, because there were times when I would parry or dodge and nothing would happen, which led to Hiroki getting struck down where he stood. Luckily, this wasn't too common, but it could really ruin the rhythm of combat and was pretty frustrating at times. Luckily, if things did not go according to Keikaku, little shrines scattered around the world would let me save my progress, replenish my health bar, and jump right back into the action. Now, I admit that towards the end of the game, said action did get a little repetitive, but every time I was close to boredom, I'd encounter a dynamic set piece that broke through the monotony and added a pinch of excitement, like having to escape a crumbling bridge while fighting enemies determined to block Hiroki from going forward. I'd also like to note that since Trek to Yomi isn't a long game, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's simply an ambitious piece of art that wants to toss you into the action, let you experience what it's like to play the leading role in a samurai drama, and then go about your day. And I, for one, appreciate a game that values my time. In short, Trek to Yomi is a treat. It has a couple of minor issues for sure, but it's fast-paced, fun, visibly fabulous, and educational. So if you've ever wanted to be in a Kurosawa movie, I highly recommend picking up this game. Thanks so much for supporting History in Games, guys. See you later!